Let's see, where were we? Okay. ArtGar62 asked what drink or food I do while I'm eating, and I don't eat while I'm playing or while I'm gaming. And I think most of you know I drink Mountain Dew. And it's the caffeine, the stuff, the meds I take will knock me on my ass. I'd be awake about 4 hours a day. And there's no point in living that way. Uh, the Beard 147 mentioned some strategy games and asked if I'd played them. And Mr. Miori asked if I'd play other games that I don't put up on the channel. I play Civ 4 sometimes, and I haven't played any strategy games there's some war games and some other stuff. It'd be the ones he mentioned I haven't played. I believe it was some Lord of the Rings tactics strategy, and I hadn't played those. But I play Civ 4 sometimes, and it never shows up because I play at a very low level. I'm not even close to God tier, and I just play for fun. And I don't know. I'm not good at talking and playing that game at the same time, so I've never tried to make videos of it. All right, a work story. I worked at Denny's on Metcalf, and it was insanely busy, and we worked insanely hard. But the guy I worked with mostly, I worked with two other guys, and we turned out amazing amounts of food on bar rush, the late night, the grave shift. And Paul used to get really depressed, and when he got depressed, he would be destroy things like throw full trash cans down the hallways and stuff like that. So part of what I did was keep him in a good mood because he's a good cook when he was in a good mood. But one night he was in the break room, which was this little cubby hole, and I walked back and I had a cantaloupe in my hand. Let me get my hand there. And I held it out to him. I said, Paul, he was sitting having a break and he was burnt. He was toast. I said, Paul, why is a cantaloupe not like a basketball? And he said, I don't know, Grant. And I turned my hand upside down and let the cantaloupe fall, and it splattered on the floor. And I said, because cantaloupes don't bounce. Now, over a period of time, this evolved to other things. Why is this not like this? Why is a cantaloupe not like a soccer ball? Which involved cleaning the floor again. But one night we had just gotten hammered. The day shift was coming on at 7 a.m. We had just like 30 minutes. We worked like madmen to clean the line so we could leave and not be in their way or anything at shift change. And the last thing I was bringing to the line was this big pillow pack of nacho chips. It was like the size of a standard pillow, and it was full of air. They'd gotten a good seal on it. And he was at the far end of the line, and the line was spotless. And I walked on the line, and I had that bag of chips in my hand, and I looked down at him, and we had worked together for more than a year, and he said, don't do it, because I will ask you. I said, I've got to now. And I held the bag of nacho chips out in front of me like a punter getting ready to punt a football. And I said, why is a bag of nacho chips not like a football? And he said, because you can't punt it. So I did, and it exploded all over the line. There were nacho chips everywhere. So the day crew came in and found us giggling like madmen, using towels to brush shattered nacho chips off all of the shelves and sweeping up the floor. So that's the work story. Why is a bag of nacho chips not like a football? I think we've done the gaming questions. Let's go ahead and knock that one out first. Sugar Daddy 501 asked what the hardest martial art I learned was, and I took that to mean the most dangerous, although I guess maybe most difficult. Although the answer would be the same for both, and that would be the praying mantis kung fu. So, and as to my opinion of the most deadly martial arts in the world, I would say probably white eyebrow kung fu or mantis. And I am a firm believer in combining styles. That was something Bruce Lee came to. and it was he had huge elements of boxing in his style. I saw an exhibition where a Golden Gloves boxer made a karate stylist just look like a moron. Of course, if he'd been a better karate stylist, it might have been a little different, but I believe in synthesis of styles. And all that's past me now anyway. It's just something I did in the past. Most important thing I've learned on my jobs, two things. Number one, uh, the people you work with are probably more important than where you work or what you do within limits. I mean, if you're shoveling horse poo and you don't like horse poo, that's probably not going to matter that you're doing it with good people. But I've always found that the people I work with have a lot to do with how the experience goes. And number two, try not to lose your sense of humor. You lose your sense of humor and you start getting angry and all that, and it just makes the day really long. But as long as you can laugh at the stuff, uh, or at least chuckle about it, because idiots will be idiots, and BS that you have to do as part of the job will be BS you have to do as part of the job. And there's a limit to how much of that you can change, so letting it eat at you doesn't help you. Uh, Valka077 asks if I like banana chips, and yes, I do, except they're a lot like eating graham crackers. They will turn your mouth into crud. It's like having a mouthful of wood putty. Uh, Tony Jiang asked how I like Taiwan. I would have stayed there and lived if I could have. It was amazing. I like being in a culture other than the one that I was raised in because it's just every day is discovery. And when you're in another country, even Canada and the United States, the people look at things differently. And I think that's an amazing thing to realize that the way you see the world is not shared by, every other country in the world. And I mean, I know, aside from individual differences, uh, it's amazing to talk to people from other countries and to be able to live in another culture is truly amazing. Uh, Penis Pump 2000. Hopefully the kids have gone to bed. Ask what music I like. I like old time rock and roll. Probably my favorite band ever was Steppenwolf. I like Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd. I like the Eurythmics. I like modern and old Celtic music. There's a lot of other bands I like that I won't be able to think of. I heard something by ELO the other day that was nice. Uh, Black Sabbath, The Dead, Cream. I think Hendrix was the greatest guitar player that ever lived. Uh, a lot of it's old though. There's modern music. I couldn't tell you any of the names of people. I've always gone by do I like it or don't I like it, and that's pretty simple for me. Uh, that's about it. That's everything I can think of here. And now, finally, a cat story. When my wife and I first got together, we were living together in her place, and she had many cats. One of them was Tick Cat. He was a Siamese cat, and he hated me. The way a person's cat, that's the number one cat, hates a new person in their life, especially an intimate person in their life. So at nighttime, we would be doing things that men and women do in the bed. Tick Cat was a hunter. He would go out and kill a rabbit, or actually catch a rabbit. Kill isn't the right word at this point. He would catch a live, full grown rabbit and, unbeknownst to us, bring it in under our bed while we were being intimate, or where we were, while and where actually. And he would kill the rabbit. And so we would be doing what we were doing, and we would suddenly hear a scream. Eee! As the rabbit screamed as Tit Cat killed it. And then, after he was through killing it, we would hear crunching sounds and dripping sounds as he ate the rabbit Underneath the bed. I'm not going to find another good fire, am I? Ah, there we go. So anyway, all I have to say about that is it's a better man than I, or a better couple than we were that can continue under those conditions. Uh, we did see the humor in it. It's hard on the bunnies, but I had a girlfriend at one time. This is not at the same time that I was with my wife to be. I had a girlfriend, and she wasn't my girlfriend yet. She was my best friend's girlfriend, which is another story. Waited till they broke up. I was completely straight arrow. But anyway, every time he came over to her place, she had a cat she called Bitch. It was a snow white cat, and whenever he started even kissing her, like they'd be necking in the living room as a prelude to other things, her cat would find an unreachable spot in the corner under the furniture and vomit. And it didn't just brack, it went through the whole uh, 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 procedure. So I don't know. I honestly don't know which one is more. I think Tit Kat had her beat. It's hard to beat a Siamese cat for just pure D vengeance. And that was our third story. I was asked about a pet story, and I had a cat that was called Big Black. He was just a big black cat, and is when I first hooked up with my wife. I don't think we were married. No, we might have been married. We were living together. I don't think the kid was around yet. But anyway, she had like 5 or 6 cats. She always had too many cats. But anyway, one of the cats was named Fat Tabby, and he was a gray tabby cat, and he was an idiot. He could be very clever, but he was an idiot too. And he was missing for a couple of days, and it wasn't like him. So my wife Helen went out and told Big Black was home. He was the one that went feral. He lived off the land. He would come in out of a blizzard and not want food because he'd been killing rabbits and eating them. But I don't know, he lived, I don't know, at least 15 or 16 years that I know of. He lived in the woods down here where I'm living now, is where he finally went completely wild. But anyway, he happened to be home, and he's a huge black cat. And she told him, she said, go find Fat Tabby. And I'm like, is this like an old episode of Lassie or what? And by golly, he looked at her and headed off. We were living in North Kansas City, which was all woods. The backyard was woods. I mean, woodsy woods. And he just beelined off into the woods. And so I'm like, nah, this isn't really happening. So anyway, I followed him into the woods, and we went like a quarter of a mile down through gullies and all this nonsense. But he was real sure he knew where he was going. And he comes to this like 60, 70-foot oak tree and stops. And I'm like, so where's Fat Tabby? And he looked at me like I was stupid. And then he looked up the tree. And something had chased Fat Tabby up that oak tree 40 feet off the ground. And if you don't know, sometimes cats will climb too high in a tree and they can't get down. And they can't, most of them will not urinate in a tree, and they die of kidney failure. So I had to walk a quarter of a mile back out through the woods. We had to go to a rental place, and I know it was 40 feet up that tree because we had to rent a 40-foot ladder, call a friend that had a truck to come help us haul it, haul that ladder down through a quarter mile of woods through gullies and stuff, and put it up against the tree and rescue Fat Tabby. But that was one of the darndest things I ever saw in my life. So, but it's not funny, so I don't know what to tell you. Uh, So anyway, that's all the questions I had. I guess it hasn't been really funny or anything. Hopefully the 3 videos that follow this will make up for it. And like I said, Matt, well, Uh, Maxwell's World I intend to continue with. Wilson's, it kind of depends on reaction and reaction to what I'm thinking about doing with the core channel. Uh, Terraria, of course, will continue, and I want to start to roll out episodes of Chaos on Deponia, but I don't promise any regularity with them. I've said that from the first on that. Uh, Isaac was kind of a one-off. It's Isaac's always been a random play for me. I'll play it sometimes and don't promise I will all the time. So I ran out of my background here. But anyway, Isaac was always a random play. I'm probably forgetting something. I'm not sure what. And there's some other games I'm kind of looking at, but I don't have anything definite. I try to know for sure I'm gonna whether I'm gonna do something randomly or do it on an ongoing basis. I think between Terraria and at least two different Don't Starve series and the occasional, a little more than occasional Chaos and Deponia, I'm going to be fairly busy with what I can do. And that Caves thing is coming up. The 10th is when that live stream by what is it? Is it Riptide Pow? I never can remember his name for some reason. I think it was because he threw Pow into it. If it wasn't, it's kind of like usernames. It's like, wait a minute now, which part of this was in what order? So anyway, but that's coming up. But he did a killer job with Deer Clops and Winter, so that should be great. And I hope they put it up as a test thing, like they had Test Adventure. And what I'd like to do is do a series that is test. So anyway, it's looking pretty busy. Anybody that stuck it out through the whole Q&A, I appreciate it. I feel like there should have been more, but I don't know what the hell it would have been. So anyway, I'm going to look at this and see if I want to add anything to it or not. All right, you all take care of yourselves, and like I said, there's 3 Don't Starve videos coming up. There's a ton of Terraria footage I haven't done anything with yet that I need to process. And Chaos on Deponia, I haven't done anything yet except that little bit. So anyway, you take care of yourself, and I'll see you down the road. Goo World was such a. Oh, I didn't put any little Inferno footage in the background. Uh, it was freezing. It was being a real pest about trying to shove all this different stuff into it. The background video, that is.